from the campus of Westfield State University. This is 89.5 FM, WSKB, Westfield. Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Westfield Bank. For more than 160 years, Westfield Bank has been an important community presence and commercial leader in the Pioneer Valley. With convenient full banking services in Westfield, West Springfield, East Longmeadow, Agawam, Feeding Hills, Springfield, Southwick, as well as Enfield and Granby, Connecticut, visit us on the web at westfieldbank.org. We thank the generosity of our underwriters. For more information, please contact the Westfield State Foundation at 413-572-8646.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 6:03. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM, radio for the Westfield masses. It is Wednesday, May 9th. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host, and I'm in studio this morning with the chairman of the board, Pete Coles. Good morning, Pete.
Good morning.
It is a brisk 46 degrees out there this morning.
I just threw on a little sweatshirt over my short sleeve because it's going to be warm.
I know.
Later.
I did the same thing. It's going to be beautiful. We had some really great weather. Everything is blooming.
All of a sudden, spring popped back in.
I know, and it was light outside when I left my garage. I mean, when I pulled out of my garage, lightness, which is really great because all winter we've been dealing with, you get in here at 5:30 in the morning and it's really kind of dark.
Start till about 6:30.
Yeah, so really beautiful. And I stopped at the senior center on my way over here, as I usually do, and the horticulture group from Westfield Technical Academy did all the plantings for the senior center when we built the center, and everything just smells. You can just smell lilac everywhere. It's just beautiful. They did a really nice job. And by the way, they're having their plant sale.
Yes, I got to stop by there today.
Yes, because my understanding is, if you don't get there early, they
may not make it to Saturday.
I don't think they will make. I think in the past they haven't made it till Saturday.
Right.
Because I think is it all week? I don't have the flyer. I forgot to grab it.
It started yesterday.
It started yesterday. I know
it's
that.
Today, tomorrow, Friday, Saturday. Today and tomorrow 8 to 2, Friday 8 to 5,
Perfect.
and Saturday I think it's like 9 to noon.
Noon, if they have any left, and they put that right on the flyer.
Right.
So.
If we run out, we run out. They have a finite. It's not going to get. There's not a supplier. There's suppliers themselves.
No, and I understand.
I got to buy some herbs. I'm looking at buying some. They have herb plants.
Oh,
too.
I didn't know that they had herb plants.
Yes, I got to swing over there.
Now,
maybe I forgot off the radio.
Do you grow herbs do you do them outside, inside? How do you do it? I know people do it different ways.
I haven't grown them yet, so I don't know.
Oh, okay.
So probably inside because I have lots of wildlife. Yeah. And they would eat them.
But that's what I would be afraid of.
Yeah.
Now, I was at a meeting yesterday with some of the department heads and the mayor, and and Sue Phillips and Shanna Reed were there from the law department, and they were talking about growing mint, which apparently is very easy to grow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's a weed. I think mint is a weed.
Yeah, and there was one other plant. I'm trying to remember what the other one was. That
a lot of people around here like growing jalapenos and hot peppers.
Oh,
a lot of it was surprising how many people that I know that grow in their gardens. They grow either jalapenos or habaneros.
Okay.
Mostly to make their own salsa.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
Because everything else you can buy readily. Well, I mean, you can buy jalapenos readily now too. They sell them at price right.
Yeah, but still, there's something about growing your own.
Growing your own, right?
And for you've got your smoker now, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So you could be doing all kinds of.
Yeah, I think with my garden, I mean, I've seen bears in my yard. I've
Yes.
seen,
Yes.
other large creatures.
Right.
And
we
there's
have deer, so.
There's something that lives underneath the shed, and I think it's not a hedge. I think it's a hedgehog.
We don't know what that is.
I think it's a hedgehog.
Okay, something alive under Pete's shed.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but I think, I know. But I know of people who do the herb thing inside,
Yeah.
like in their window sill or whatever. So.
Yep.
All right, well, keep us posted on that. But that plant sale is going on at Westfield Technical Academy. I can
I'm at least buying something for my mom.
Yeah.
At minimum.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we have so much stuff going on this morning on the radio shows.
And
we
your
have
first guest right here, so you better get rolling.
That's okay. All right. So we're right out of the gate. We are going to talk about our national days. So May 11th is National Third Shift Workers Day, or National Night Shift Workers Day.
Been there.
Yeah, exactly. Pete's been there. He's done dispatch. So it's observed on the second Wednesday in May, and this day was created to honor all workers who work hard through the night after night. While sometimes the job keeps a manufacturer running 24 hours a day, other third shifts keep us safe through the night. I mean, think, police and fire and EMS and dispatch.
News.
You did news. Yes, absolutely. Third shifts are certainly not new to hospital workers or emergency personnel. Other third shift workers keep cities running without a hitch. Regardless of their duties, the time of day they are performed can make life unusual and sometimes difficult. It's hard. It's hard when you have a family and you have children and you're working third shift and, you're splitting the responsibilities, the parenting duties and so forth, trying to sleep during the day. I remember my daughter was a nanny for a while out in Plymouth, and the husband was working at the Plymouth nuclear power plant, and he would do third shift.
Sure.
And, part of her responsibility was to keep 2 3-year-old twin boys quiet during the day so dad could sleep. And, as Grace said, in the when the weather was warm, that was fine. She would just take them outside. But try doing that in the middle of the winter. Not so easy. All right.
That's when you finish the basement.
You're right. Well, yeah, exactly. So happy National Third Shift Workers Day. It is also National Receptionist Day. So each year, National Receptionist Day is observed on the second Wednesday in May. National Receptionist Day was created to give recognition to receptionists and the valuable contributions they make to the companies they work for. Receptionists are responsible for providing an excellent first impression to all customers and clients, both in person and on the telephone. Their customer service skills play a vital role in an organization's image. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, there are more than 1 million receptionists in the United States. National Receptionist Day was created in 1991 by the director of the National Receptionists Association to gain awareness and appreciation of the role of receptionists in a business setting and to provide community and support for receptionists nationwide. So happy National Receptionist Day. And although we technically do not have a receptionist at the senior center, her title is program associate because she answers the phone and does so much more. But I just want to do a shout out to Tara LeBlanc, who is the person who typically, certainly between 8:30 and 3 o'clock in the afternoon, answers the phone if you call the senior center. And I have often said Tara has the patience of Job, because
she would have to, because you don't have an auto attendant. It's her.
No, it's her. And, we oftentimes get people who are hard of hearing, people who are confused about who we are and what we do. She has to explain. She does a lot of splaining, as Ricky Ricardo used to say. You got a lot of splaining to do. So anyway, happy National Receptionist Day. Speaking of the senior center, just a couple of little tidbits here, folks. So our Mother's Day Dance Extravaganza luncheon tickets went on sale last Thursday. We have 6 tickets left. So if you would like to attend this on Thursday, May 24th, you need to get over to the senior center. I would suggest today, because my guess is by the end of today, we will have 0 tickets left. This is an event, and it's a little bit different than what we've normally done for Mother's Day. We usually have some type of musical entertainment. We're going to have the Small Planet Dancers doing a show, and I think they're going to be spectacular. The menu is chicken cordon bleu and gravy and sweet mashed potatoes and green beans and honey buttered cornbread and strawberry parfaits if you have room for dessert after all of that. Tickets are $5, must be purchased in advance. And as I said, we have 6 tickets left. They are going fast. And the date of that event is Thursday, May 24th. We always do Mother's Day at the end of May because tomorrow, Thursday, May 10th, is our volunteer recognition breakfast. And we will actually be over at Toccoa Country Club honoring over 100 volunteers from the Senior Center. So tomorrow, the Senior Center will open at 1 o'clock because we will be having a breakfast and presentation of certificates and so forth. The mayor will be there and Councilor Figge will be there to help us honor our volunteers tomorrow. So again, no coffee tomorrow morning, no lunch served. Senior Center will open at 1 o'clock. For those of you who are interested, the Sarah Gillette Foundation, and I know they just did a front page story on the Sarah Gillette Foundation in the Westfield News. They have their annual meeting at the Senior Center tomorrow at 2 o'clock. So we will be there for them and ready and set up and so forth. So we have that. We have so much stuff going on in May at the Senior Center and throughout Westfield. So I'll be doing announcements kind of throughout the broadcast because we also have a full slate of guests this morning.
Yes, you do.
We do. One of the programs, though, that I do want to mention is, well, 2 things. One is the Council on Aging annual meeting. My board meeting is Monday. We meet the second Monday of the month at City Hall in room 201. And May is our annual meeting. So that will be this coming Monday, May 14th at 1 o'clock. We will be electing officers for the COA board and doing our regular board business. All those meetings are open meetings. Minutes are, posted. Agenda's posted. The agenda's already posted. I got it in ahead of time, so that got posted yesterday. So that's going on, and we have a lot of programs going on at the Senior Center, some of which you need to sign up for. I have to say, Pete, we did a program on Monday. It was called Responsible Gambling.
Okay.
The organization that came out and did it is called Game Sense. And I wasn't sure how this would go over. It was fantastic, and we had a nice crowd for it.
Gambling for fun, not for income.
Right. I mean, yeah, exactly. And they wanted to stress they are not anti-gambling at all.
Right.
They're just, this is how you do it responsibly. This is how you have fun
Recognize
with it.
the signs when it's becoming bad.
Yeah, and they didn't. It was really more about how to stretch your money so that you don't. Because they said the last thing you want to do is go and go with $25. And if you lose it in the first 5 minutes, you're not going to be having a whole lot of fun before the bus returns home.
Find the penny slots.
Yeah. So anyway, they had all kinds of great tips, and they talked about slot machines. That was the topic for this.
Well, that's because
one.
that's the seniors play slots.
Yep, exactly. So we had a good crowd for that, but they said that they would be more than willing to come back and talk about another topic, which I don't remember what it is now. But the group was very enthusiastic about getting them back. So that was a great program. We have some other really good programs. We have Hyman Darling, who's an attorney, an elder law attorney. He's phenomenal. I call him like the guru of elder law out of Springfield. But he's coming to do a program at the end of the month. We have a program called Medication and the Best You Can Be at the end of the month. These are all you need to sign up for these. We also have a diabetes.
Just pull out your Voice of Experience.
Exactly.
And look it up.
That's what I'm doing. I'm throwing out the highlights, but the Voice of Experience newsletter, they're all over town. They're at the Senior Center. You can get it online. Go to the city website. Go into departments, Council on Aging. We have a diabetes program coming up in June, and that's a series. I'm also working on a downsizing in place series that I'm actually doing.
It's easy. Hire a construction dumpster.
Nope. We're going to talk about how to sort through all of those important treasures and collectibles and the stuff that your grandmother left you and so forth. So anyway, that's all coming down the pike. We have tons of stuff going on at the Senior Center. Lots of stuff going on around Westfield. We have not talked at all about Run Westfield, so we're going to talk about that today because I've been busy training for that. I am determined to PR this year. I want to do I want a personal record for me, just me. So I've been running the bike trail, and I'm proud of myself.
There you go.
All right, it is 6:16. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM, radio for the Westfield masses. My first guests are here, but before we get to that, we're going to play Night Shift by the Commodores. This is in honor of National Third Shift Workers' Day.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Commercial Distributing Company of Westfield. Now in its third generation of family ownership, Commercial is one of the premier beverage distributors of Western Massachusetts. The Plasek family and the staff of Commercial Distributing wishes you good times throughout the year and urges you to drink responsibly.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Barnes & Noble College Bookstore in the Ely Campus Center, offering Westfield State t-shirts, sweatshirts, and gift merchandise, all of your academic needs, and offering textbook materials in new, used, ebook, and rental formats. Available at the bookstore on campus or online at westfieldstate.bncollege.com. Support for community radio on WSKB is provided by Betts Plumbing and Heating Supply Company, an independent, family-owned wholesaler serving Westfield for over 50 years, specializing in plumbing, heating, and industrial piping supplies. On the web at betsplumbing.com or at 14 Coleman Avenue in Westfield.
We thank the generosity of our underwriters. For more information, please contact the Westfield State Foundation at 413-572-8646.
It's Tuesday morning from 6 till 8. Wow, it's Tuesday with Bob Plass.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB. Live from the campus of Westfield State University, this is 89.5 FM WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 6:22. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses. It is Wednesday, May 9th. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host. The studio has just gotten more crowded. So I am in studio this morning with the chairman of the board, our producer, Pete Coles. Good morning again, Pete.
Good morning.
By the way, I like that color on you. I know you were talking about the color yesterday with Bob Plass, whether you were wearing purple or blue or whatever, but
I have a tough time telling.
I don't know. Blue's your color. I think blue's your color. That looks really nice on you.
Thank you.
And I am joined by my friends from the Arbors Assisted Living here in Westfield, Sandra Jones and Bianca Syriac. Welcome, ladies.
Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
All right, so we're going to start with, we're going to put Sandra Jones on the hot seat because Bianca, this is your first time on the radio, right?
It is.
Okay, all right. So we'll let you get sort of settled in a little bit.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
While we shift over and talk to our friend Sandra Jones, who's an old hat at this.
Yeah,
but I remember
where have you been lately?
Yes, well, exactly. So we exactly, Pete. Where have you been, Sandra Jones? So you have a new position since you were last on the radio.
Yes.
So talk about what you were doing. The last time you were on, you were executive director over at the Arbors at Westfield.
Yep, I was doing executive director and marketing director.
And marketing, right?
A little busy.
Exactly. Just a tad.
Just a tad.
So talk to us about what you're doing now, because you do have a different position. We don't see you as much.
Yeah, I know. I miss you guys. I'm the regional marketing director now, so I travel to our 9 sites that we have in Massachusetts.
What? Now, is that it? 9 sites you have, or does the Arbors have any more than that?
We have 9 sites, 9 assisted livings, 2 Arbors Kids daycare, and then we're opening the Ivy in Ellington. So that can't be the Arbors because there's already Arbors there. So it's the Ivy at Ellington.
Ellington, Connecticut?
Yes.
No. Oh, okay.
Yep.
All right. So let's talk about so what do you do you're in charge of these 9 sites.
She's my boss.
And the 9 sites are all throughout Massachusetts?
Yep. There's Winthrop, Stoneham, Drake's the newest one.
Okay.
Stoughton, Taunton, Westfield, Greenfield, Amherst, and Chicopee.
Okay.
So I travel to all those. So I'm training new marketing directors, teaching them, coaching them, yelling at Bianca.
No, I'm a good
Bianca's
girl.
great. So yeah, that's my job, is to go out there and just teach them.
So now, when you do your traveling, Sandra, is it day traveling, or do you typically have
It's
to stay
mostly
overnight?
day.
Or
I do stay one night a week if I have to go out east. It's just easier that way. But
and give us just an overview of the Arbors. Are they all assisted living, or are there any independent living units, or how does it work?
they're all
does it work?
assisted living with
Okay.
memory care. The only
Okay.
one that's different is the Arbors at Winthrop, which has independent, assisted, and memory care.
Okay, so
that's
got
the
a
only
little
one
bit
that's
of everything.
different.
And you mentioned the Arbors Kids. Where are those, and what is that?
So the Arbors Kids is a daycare. That's actually, Bianca worked there for a few years.
6 years.
6 years.
Yeah.
So there's one at the Arbors in Chicopee, which actually shares property with the Arbors Assisted Living. So they
Yep.
have a lot of intergenerational activities going on there. And then they have the Arbors Kids in East Long Meadow. Which street is that on, Bianca?
Industrial
Drive. So
Okay, and that's separate though, because there's not an Arbors Assisted Living in
Correct.
East Long Meadow.
Correct.
I didn't realize that. I knew there were a couple, but I thought they were both tied into the assisted living, but not so much.
Nope, they're not.
All right.
But, I mean, the Arbors in Chicopee kind of is, but
Yes.
it shares the same property. So right in the middle of the Arbors Kids and the assisted living is the Arbors Camp. So they have a big summer camp there.
Okay.
So yeah.
All right. And so what? I mean, this is really different than what you did in Westfield, Sandra. How does that compare? What do you? I mean, there are always pros and cons.
Yeah, I do miss being part of a building. I'm not part of a building anymore.
Yeah.
But I like it. I get to see the new marketing directors grow, come up with their own ideas, and I get a little jealous. Bianca's very creative, for example, so I get jealous when she's being, able to do these cute things. I'm like, oh, I miss that. And I do miss working with the families and doing tours. I don't get to do that as often.
Yeah.
But I'm able to teach the others how to do that. So
yeah, kind of taking it to the next level.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's transition over to Bianca. So you're settled in now.
I'm here. I'm in.
Okay. She's here. She's in. I know you guys are the early birds this morning, so I give you a lot of credit. So Bianca, talk to us about your background. Usually when I have a new guest on, we kind of like to I always say to people, I'm sure when you were in the third grade and your teacher said, what do you want to be when you grow up? You didn't say a marketing director in an assisted living facility.
I wanted to be a real estate agent.
That's hysterical. I love when I throw out that analogy because people will automatically say, well, remember the last one, I think Pete, a couple weeks ago, she wanted to be an astronaut.
Yes.
That was me. Well, that wasn't me, but I still wanted to be an astronaut.
See?
Yeah.
Okay.
Me too. I'm past the deadline for age.
That's hysterical. A real estate agent.
Yeah.
I mean, most third graders wouldn't come up with that line. Did you
I
know
know
a real estate agent? Is that
My aunt was
Oh,
one.
see, I was going to say a real estate agent in the family.
Yep.
That would actually be kind of cool. I love,
It's a little similar to what I do.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about how you got to where you are today.
So
What's your background?
I actually started
Where are you from?
off. I'm from Chicopee, Massachusetts.
Okay,
Yes.
local girl.
I am, yes. I went to all the Chicopee schools. My husband and I were actually neighbors. That's how we met. And yesterday was our 10-year anniversary.
Oh,
so that was
happy
exciting.
anniversary.
Yeah.
That is
we
exciting.
Went to the Federal. It was delicious.
Oh, wonderful. Good
Yes.
celebration. And you have a son,
Yep.
right?
I have a 15-month-old named Oliver, and he's a madman.
Adorable.
Yeah. He goes to the Arbors Kids in East Long Meadow.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, so we're a whole Arbors family right
There
now.
you go.
Yeah. So I actually started off as a camp counselor for the Arbors Kids when they had a Springfield location.
Okay.
And that was my first taste of it. I actually worked at a daycare prior to it, but wanted something different. And then after a couple of months, I was offered a classroom at the Arbors Kids in East Long Meadow. It was just opening. So this was all new to me, having my own classroom, kind of a fresh start.
And how old were the children that you were working with when you were there?
My kids were 4 years old.
Okay.
So it's a big difference from what I do now, definitely. And then from there, I kind of just grew in the business. I ended up running my own classroom, a pre-K program where I was teaching kids how to read, teaching them how to write, and they were very advanced. And then I was getting married, so I decided to pick up a job at the Arbors Assisted Living as a receptionist on the weekends.
Okay.
So that was really my first taste at assisted living. I had no idea what I was getting myself into, but I loved it. I made so many connections, and when I go to Chicopee now and see those residents that I knew then, it still means a lot to me, and they remember me because I was planning my wedding. So it's exciting to hear that they still remember me.
Well, that's exciting.
Even though
That's
it was
exciting for them,
4
though.
years ago at this point.
No,
It was a while
but you know
ago.
what? That was exciting. I mean,
Yeah.
that's exciting for them because
Yeah.
when the whole wedding planning
Oh
thing
yeah,
is,
and they knew it. So I showed them pictures from my wedding. I showed them my child, and that was exciting. So that was my first taste at assisted living. So I continued to do that for about a year. Started to go to school for marketing at Bay Path on Saturdays and online. And then the Arbors in Westfield had a marketing position open up, so it was kind of brought to my attention, and I met with Sandra. And we talked about kind of transitioning over there.
Yeah.
So it was tough to leave the daycare.
Yeah. So how many years were you at the daycare?
6
actually?
years.
Yeah, 6 years.
Yeah.
It's funny. I've noticed that people who are really good with kids are really good with older adults.
Yes. I think you're
And
right,
like nothing
Pete.
in between.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's either one extreme or the other.
Yeah, definitely.
Very true.
Definitely.
Well, it's interesting in listening to Bianca talk about that is, Sandra, you kind of had that same sort of transition because what were your jobs at the Arbors originally? I mean, you kind of did the
What
same
haven't
thing.
you done?
Let's get the list going.
I was terrible at housekeeping. I was going to get fired of that. But I started as a nurse's aide 16 years ago, and I was about 6 months, and then I was promoted, if you will, to the front desk receptionist full time. So I was like, no weekends, yay! But that's kind of my background was admin. And then after 4.5 years at the desk, they promoted me to marketing director. So I was there for about 7 years.
That was in Chicopee?
That was in
it? Yeah.
Chicopee. And then in 2013, I moved over to Westfield.
Yes.
And I was there for probably about 2 years, and then they promoted me to ED. And then the marketing director position came open, so I ended up doing both.
Yes.
Which I loved, because
Yeah.
being an ED, the executive director, you kind of miss out on that family, and I missed that interaction. So I got
Yes.
both. I got
Yep.
both worlds. So, and then last June, I didn't think I could go anywhere else. And then they asked me to be regional marketing director. So here I am.
So, you know what? In listening to both of you, because you've both really transitioned through the rank, who are the Arbors? I mean, as a
family.
corporation, right? Tell us, like, how did this get started, and who's behind all of this?
So we're actually in our third generation, of owners. So, and Sarah and Amy, who are now the third generation, I worked with them. Like growing up, I've in the Arbors, I've worked with them. So it's really neat to see how they've grown up too.
So was it kind of like their grandparents who started this way back when?
Yep. It was their grandparents. They had a construction company.
Yep.
And then in '98, Sarah and Amy's parents started assisted livings, when it was a brand new concept.
Yep.
So I think our first assisted living is turning 20 this year.
Yes.
In Amherst. So, yeah.
Well, it's really interesting that you kind of bring that up in terms of assisted living, because I've been in this field now. I can't even believe this, but I've been in the field of gerontology for almost 40 years.
Wow.
And I remember when I started back in the 70s, there was no such thing as assisted living. There were very few options. There was really virtually no adult day health care or social daycare. So your options were, either if you were older, you either lived independently at home, or you moved in with your kids, or your kids moved in with you, or you went to a nursing home. That was it. Those were your options. And I can remember children of, older adults with whom I was working, saying, well, my mother doesn't really need a nursing home. She doesn't really want to live with us, and we don't really want to move in with her, but she really can't be by herself. There needs to be something in between. And I can remember the rally cry for that, especially when you had a lot of couples who were working. You had husband and wife working. It's like, well, we can't stay, and people literally did have to quit their job to stay home and take care of mom, or just to supervise. A lot of it was it wasn't even taking care of. It was just supervision. And so I've watched this whole birth of assisted living and, daycare, adult daycare and just different options. And I think that really it was really the children of these older adults who really put the pressure on to give us some other options. It wasn't so much the older adults themselves. Mm-hmm. And there was a great story about and I can't remember the guy's name. He was in corporate America in Connecticut. And he had the situation of, okay, now I've got my parents and they need care, but they don't need a nursing home. And he was one of the ones that was really, within his own corporation, and I can't remember which corporation it was, but, just really saying, we got to come up with something better. So, and so now we have, the option of assisted living. So we're going to get back and we're going to talk about what assisted living is and who's appropriate for it. After this break, it is 6:34. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses, and we have another song in honor of National Third Shift Workers Day. This is All Night Long by Lionel Richie.
Well, my friends, the time has come. Raise the roof and have some fun. Throw away the work to be done. Let the music play on. Everybody sing, everybody dance. Lose yourself in wild romance. We're going to party, caramba, fiesta, forever. Come on and sing along. We're going to party, caramba, fiesta, forever. Come on and sing along. All night long, all night, all night long, all night, all night long, all night, all night long. Oh, yeah. People dancing all in the street. See the rhythm all in their feet. Life is good, wild and sweet. Let the music play on, play on, play on. Feel it in your heart and feel it in your soul. Let the music take control. We're going to party, climbing, fiesta, forever. Come on and sing my song all night long. Oh, all night long. Yes, all night long. Yeah, all night long. Yeah, once you get started, you can't sit down. Come join the fun, it's a merry-go-round. Everyone's dancing their troubles away. Come join our party, see how we play. Sambolite said the moja. Yeah, jumbo jumbo. Wait to party, oh we going. Oh, jumbo la. Sambolite said the moja. Yeah, jumbo jumbo. Oh, yeah. We're gonna have a party. All night long. All night. All night long. All night. All night long. All night. All night long. Everyone you meet, they're jamming in the street all night long. Yeah, I said, everyone you meet, they're jamming in the street all night long. Feel good, feel good.
WSKB's programming is generously underwritten by Whip City Fiber, Westfield Gas and Electric, where they offer gigabit internet speed. Whip City Fiber, turning Westfield's neighborhoods into fiberhoods. On the web at whipcityfiber.com.
We thank the generosity of our underwriters. For more information, please contact the Westfield State Foundation at 413-572-8646. Discussions of local politics, events, happenings, and miscellany potpourri. Ken's Den, Tuesday, 8 to 10. Live from the campus of Westfield State University, this is 89.5 FM, WSKB, Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 6:39. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses. It is Wednesday, May 9th. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host. I'm in studio this morning with the chairman of the board, our producer, Pete Coles. Good morning again, Pete.
Good morning.
And my special guest this first hour, Sandra Jones, Regional Marketing Director with the Arbors, and Bianca Syriak, Director of Marketing at the Arbors at Westfield. Welcome again, ladies.
Thank you.
Okay, so we've gotten through sort of the background stuff and the fact that both of you have worked for the Arbors for a combination of about 30 years or something. It's been a long time doing all kinds of jobs. I love the fact, Sandra, that you said you would have gotten fired from the housekeeping job. That wasn't your
good.
thing.
I probably
that
should have been fired as a receptionist.
But you know, it's the growing pains and the steps that we go to. So, Bianca, you are now Director of Marketing here at the Arbors in Westfield. So, talk to us a little bit. You know, give us your best marketing pitch. So, what do you say to families in terms of who's appropriate for assisted living? If you have a family, I always like to kind of go with a case example. So I'm a family member and I come and I say to you, you know, it's really hard now for my mom to be at home alone. I'm concerned about that. But I don't know, would she be appropriate for assisted living, or does she need a nursing home, or do I need to get 24-hour care? So what do you sort of tell people about that?
It really depends on everyone's individual situation.
Okay.
It is so hard to say yes to one person and no to another, but in all honesty, we can have a lot of services brought into our building if they ever got to a point where, they're on the fence of nursing home or assisted living.
Okay.
In most cases, families come in because of memory impairment or socialization. I would say those are like the number one reasons for someone to come in.
Yep.
And that way, once I know their background, I'm able to give them support, offer different ideas in ways that our assisted living can benefit them.
So let's talk. I think those are two really good cases. But they're also very different. So let's start with the socialization piece. So, family is concerned. Mom is living in this big house that she's lived in for 60 years, but it's really hard for her to get around. She doesn't drive anymore, so she's kind of isolated over there. How might assisted living be beneficial for someone like that?
Again, it depends too on how social they were prior. So if you have someone that was really social, but then, maybe had some memory impairment or couldn't drive anymore, then usually they come into our building and they jump right back into it with the help of Mary, our activity director. She kind of holds their hand, introduces them to people along the way. I always say it's kind of like your first day in school again.
Yes.
You're meeting new people,
Yep.
You're nervous. Who are you going to sit with at lunch? That sort of thing.
Yeah.
So Mary
But
does help with that.
I think that's a great
definitely.
analogy, and I think that's real. That we kind of joke around and laugh about it, but you know what? That's very real for someone, especially someone who's maybe lived in the same home for 50 or 60 years, and now
Exactly.
all of a sudden they're in a different place. And they may or may not know people there. And even if they had been very social at one point, they might have kind of gotten away from that a little bit.
Yep.
So that is hard.
Yeah.
Who am I going to sit with at lunch?
Exactly.
That is
Things they
scary.
think about,
Of course
Yeah.
I would think about it.
And then on the other end too, if we have someone moving in and they aren't the most social person, them going to the 3 meals included a day, that's a lot of socialization right there.
Yeah,
You
that's
think
almost
it's
like,
about
oh-
45 minutes each meal. That's
Yeah.
45 minutes of them sitting in a room of their peers, learning about them, having conversations. So that's great as well.
So those are two really good, very sort of polar opposite.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have somebody it's really funny because I'm thinking both of my parents have passed away, but I'm thinking mom and dad, very different. My mother, we used to joke around and say she would talk to anybody, including like a mannequin, anybody, it didn't matter. And my father was, a man of few words. And so they would have had very different, had they gone to assisted living, it would have been very different needs. My mother would have been the Mary Argenio's assistant, just flying around. And my dad would have been, okay, I'm going down to eat because I need food to live. I don't need to know everything that's going on in your life. So how do you sort of handle that? Because those are very different scenarios.
So do you mean as a couple in the building?
No,
or?
just as the staff. So if you were to have just those, as you mentioned, very different kinds
So,
of people.
As I build relationships with families and they come in for the tours and come in for different appointments, I do get to know a lot about these families, and I try my best to reiterate that and summarize it for my department heads and for the staff. That way, when we have someone coming in, we already have a game plan in place.
Okay.
How are we going to help support their move? Do they need help getting into activities? Are we going to wait and then kind of introduce them, or are we just bringing them in full force, ready to go?
So you kind of have a game plan in mind
definitely.
before
And
somebody
everyone's
even comes
different.
in.
Every situation's different. I've never had two that are similar whatsoever.
So Bianca, let's talk a little bit about the services that you offer. You mentioned the meals, so let's start there.
Okay.
What are you
Feel
offering?
free to add in if I
Yeah,
forget
and Sandra,
anything.
jump in.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
You're doing fine.
absolutely.
I'm just going to stay here.
So included in your rent, we're all inclusive,
Okay.
besides a couple of extra amenities, but that includes the 3 meals a day, which are created in our kitchen by our amazing food service director, Babette. She's phenomenal at creating a fun menu.
And Babette's been there for a while.
Oh yeah, she's phenomenal.
she's been
She
there for
just
a while.
had.
She was promoted.
Yeah, she was. She had a knee replacement, double knee replacement. She was out for 4 months, and she was missed greatly. But along with that, it includes all of the activities, which we do have an activity bus that will bring residents
Yeah.
out to do shopping.
Sure, we've seen that around
Oh,
Westfield.
I'm sure you have.
Yes, absolutely.
They like to go out for ice cream, coffee at Dunkin' Donuts, any of that little stuff that people do miss when they move in the
Sure.
building.
Sure.
And then along with that is the services and care. And that's customized to each person. It's roughly about 45 minutes of care a day. That can be anything from getting your shoes on to help in the shower. Also includes our medication observation program
Okay.
called SAM.
Okay.
Anything else, Sandra?
Yeah, no, just we do
Housekeeping, yeah.
Housekeeping,
Yeah.
yeah. But we are staffed 24/7.
Okay.
Which some of our residents feel more comforted with safety checks, whether it's every hour, every 2 hours. So with the safety checks provides a huge peace of mind for the resident and for the family,
Especially for
Absolutely.
the families.
Yeah.
And now with the meals, do they all? Is there a central dining room, or how does that work? Do
Yep.
they
So
all-
we do have a dining room. You decide what seating you'd like to join at, but it's set up
okay.
restaurant style. So you just come in, take a seat, and they're taking your order from drink to dessert. So it's a fun experience for our residents.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna. Every time I have anybody on here from assisted living, I'm sort of like, okay, sign me up. I mean, housekeeping, meals
I have a
provided,
lot
go
of
down, restaurant style.
Adult children that say that as well, and I'm always like, "Are you 62? Because you can come."
I know, I'm in. All right, it is 7:47. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM, radio for the Westfield masses. This song is in honor of National Receptionist Day. Call Me by Blondie.
Underwriting support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Greater Westfield Chamber of Commerce, the voice of business for the Greater Westfield communities. Informing, educating, advocating, the Chamber provides opportunities for members to make meaningful connections on local, regional, and state levels. For more information on the Chamber's many events, workshops, and programs, as well as the benefits of membership, visit westfieldbiz.org. The Chamber focuses on the most important economy, yours.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Dunkin' Donut Shops of Westfield and the Sardinia family. It's nice to know that even as the world changes, Dunkin' Coffee remains the same at 7 convenient locations throughout Westfield.
We thank the generosity of our underwriters. For more information, please contact the Westfield State Foundation at 413-572-8646.
Discussions of local politics, events, happenings, and miscellany potpourri. That's what you'll find on Ken's Den, Tuesdays from 8 till 10.
Live from the campus of Westfield State University, this is 89.5 FM, WSKB, Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 6:52. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses. It is Wednesday, May 9th. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host, and I'm in studio this morning with the chairman of the board, producer Pete Coles. Good morning again, Pete.
Good morning.
Decked out in this really nice blue shirt. I just love that color. It's so nice on you.
Matches his eyes.
It does. And my guests this morning are from the Arbors. We have Sandra Jones, Regional Marketing Director, and Bianca Syriak, Director of Marketing here at the Arbors at Westfield. So welcome again, ladies.
Good morning.
So we are zipping through this morning. You guys are so wide awake for the first hour guest. Sometimes my first hour guests are a little groggy, for the first 15 or 20 minutes, but you just hit the ground running. So Bianca, you've talked a lot about what the Arbors is like and some of the really wonderful services there. And I know that my listeners are thinking, so how much does all of this cost? Because I know money is that's a huge factor.
Definitely.
And obviously some people will sell a house and move into assisted living. So there's that, chunk of money that they have, because a lot of them have already paid their house off. So, there's that. Talk to us a little bit about costs and finances, and how do you deal with that with families? And are there some units that are more affordable than others, or how does that work?
I think I'd like Sandra to answer this.
Okay, that's fine. Sandra, jump right in.
So
Sandra
the Arbors
Jones.
at Westfield's very unique as far as any assisted living or Arbors itself. So we have 90 apartments total. 10 of them are in our memory care. The rest are in traditional. Out of the 90 apartments, 50 of them are set aside for an affordable program.
Wow.
Actually, a few affordable programs.
Okay.
So
that's a lot.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I have to admit, I had no idea.
Yeah. So 50 of them are set aside. So they're mostly one-bedroom apartments. So one of the programs that we have, for example, is if it's a tax credit program, which means if your income falls under $36,000 and change a year,
okay,
you would qualify.
Okay.
So you could have $2,000 a month of income, own your house, have, $500,000 of assets in your accounts, and you would still qualify. So instead of paying maybe a market rate price of give or take, $5,000,
okay,
you're going to end up paying only about $3,300. So you spend your assets down much slower.
Okay.
And there's a few other programs under that also.
Okay, as well. Wow.
Yeah.
So if Bianca, if folks were to meet with you, you'd be able to kind of, again, that's very individualized in terms of what people's income and asset and so forth. So
Definitely.
you'd be able to kind of figure out if they were eligible for any of those.
We want to make everyone's money kind of stretch and last for the appropriate time that they would live with us.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So talk a little bit about what would kind of be an average day for somebody if they were living in assisted living. Just kind of paint a picture for us.
Again, this is tailored to the person, but that being said, if they're a part of our medication management program, or if they have that, wake up call from one of the aides coming in, the typical day would start with a warm welcome and good morning from one of our lovely aides, and then from there getting ready for the day and heading down to breakfast. Our breakfast times are 7:30 and 8:30 a.m.
Okay.
From there, typically our residents don't go back to their apartments. They stay down in the community and common areas, maybe read a book by the fireplace in the library, or start knitting in the lobby, whatever the case. If it's a beautiful day like it has been recently, some go for walks in our neighborhood. From there, we have exercise at 9:30 every day. A lot of residents attend that. And we just have programming going on constantly. That way we keep everyone out of their apartments inactive. Mary says no napping allowed. No naps. She gets mad if I say anyone can nap, so no naps allowed. And then from there, going back for lunch and then continuing the programming. It depends on the day, too. Tuesday's a shopping day, so you'll definitely see our van out around 1:30 going shopping.
Okay.
And anything like that, any of those programs, you'd sign up with the receptionist. So families can help sign up their loved ones, or the residents sign themselves up. So they are just constantly going and going and going.
You know, I think the other thing that's really important to let listeners know is that just because someone goes to assisted living doesn't mean they can't stay connected to the community. And we have a couple of folks, a couple of our regulars
Yep.
from the senior center who have moved to the Arbors over the last year. Two of them jump right to mind because
Yeah.
I see them at least once a week at the senior center. One of them is here every Friday for bingo. She's done that for years when she was living in her own home, and now has moved to the Arbors. And
that's still the
comes
highlight of
for
her week.
cards.
She loves
Yep,
going
exactly.
there. So.
And I have another one who just moved to the Arbors
Yeah.
within the last month, one of our oldest residents. And she still has her friends pick her up usually on Wednesdays, and she's there for lunch. Sometimes, again, it's more frequently than that. And I think that's really important because, sometimes, and we actually have another woman who comes who's been a regular for as long as I've been at the senior center. I know her family is starting to think assisted living, and I encourage them to contact you because I think it would really be beneficial for her. She's a social person, likes to be involved and around, and I think the family's just finding it, more and more difficult to offer that supervision on a regular basis. And
I always try to say too, just because you're going to assisted living, we don't want to take away any independence. We still
Yeah.
encourage all of our residents to be
sure.
as independent as possible,
Yeah.
but just have us there just in case and to support them.
yeah.
And to picture it, all they're doing is they're renting an apartment.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
They're renting an apartment. They can lock their door. They have
Yeah.
a full-size fridge. Most of our apartments, like I said, are one bedrooms, but they can be
Yeah.
in their apartment after dinner. If they don't feel like going to the activity in the evening, they can go have a glass of wine in their apartment.
Yeah.
Have guests over.
Watch Family Feud or something.
Yeah,
whatever they want,
exactly.
Judge
Absolutely.
Judy.
Watch
Judge
TV,
Judy.
read a
Yeah.
book, yep, whatever you do at home.
Exactly.
You don't have
the same thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And,
And
the other thing I think that's really great is your hallways are awesome. So for
thank you.
people who like to walk, in the wintertime, you
We
if
have
you're
a
at
lot
ho-
of walkers.
You have a lot of walkers. You have a lot of hall space
Yeah.
to do that in.
Yeah.
So
And
it's
it's one
not-
circle. It's just a
Yes.
circle, so you just keep
so
going.
easy to get around.
Yeah. So, unlike at home in the winter, in January, where you're cooped up and you can't get any
Or
exercise.
if they have stairs at home
So,
too. Yeah,
yep,
that
exactly.
that can
Yes,
be a
exactly.
struggle.
You have how many floors do you have at the Arbors?
3 floors.
3 floors, but of course elevators.
Yep.
What about laundry? Who does the laundry?
So the residents actually do their own laundry. You
Okay.
can add it onto your care plan for a small
Okay.
fee, but a lot of them like to do it. They were
Yeah.
homemakers, so they kind of like that
Sure.
keeping busy kind of thing.
Yeah.
Or family members will do it while they're there. They'll just throw a load in and hang out. So yeah.
Okay. So, but the facilities are right there, washer and dryer.
I believe there's 5 around
And you
the
have some
building, yeah.
you've done special, you've had parties, you've had anniversary parties I've been to all kinds of things over there and community things. What's your next sort of big Arbors event that's coming up?
So we have 2 veterans events actually this
Okay.
month. Yep. So
Oh, wow.
we are doing a veterans barbecue on May 24th.
nice.
Just really low key. We want everyone to just come in relaxed, have some stories shared, bring pictures, whatever they'd like.
Nice.
So that's at noon. And we are just encouraging everyone to come for a relaxing day, hopefully in the courtyard, pending the weather.
Yes, yeah. Well, May
Yeah.
24th, hopefully you'll have a good
Exactly,
weather for
exactly.
that.
And then the following week on May 29th, we're actually doing a veterans financial seminar. So there is a benefit called Aid in Attendance that veterans can qualify for depending on their wartime and financial situation, from my understanding. So really it's a learning process for me.
Okay.
So the seminar is for people to come in and learn about the additional income they can receive from the VA.
Who's doing the seminar? Do you know who is presenting?
So
or-
it's a Veterans Financial Corporation.
Okay,
Yeah.
nice. Wow, that should be really
Yeah.
good. So make sure you give me one of those
Yeah,
flyers.
definitely.
I'll hang that up at the senior center because I
Definitely.
know we did a Veterans Town Hall meeting at the senior center
Yeah.
a couple of months ago that was coordinated with the state, and we had a wonderful turnout. And it was a lousy night. I mean, it was kind of snowy and sleety
Yeah.
that night, and we still had a wonderful turnout for that. people said the information was phenomenal.
Yeah.
So I think you'll, hopefully get a good turnout. We'll give you lots of press on this one, and we'll keep making that announcement. And give me the day of that and the time again, Bianca.
So that was May 29th at 6 p.m.
Okay, perfect. Believe it or not, we're running out of time. So any sort of, I know it's sad, but you'll come back.
I love the radio show.
I know you
I
love
miss
the
my
radio
Peter, too.
show. I
Yeah.
know. Well, next time we'll get Mary back here too,
Oh,
and
yeah.
but I'll have to give you guys 2 hours because we'll
Easily.
be rocking and rolling with all 3 of you here. But we have another microphone over here. We can
Perfect.
pull around another chair. So, last minute, any sort of closing thoughts for people? How can they get a hold of you if people say, hey, you know what, this is something I want to look into. I want more information. Bianca, how would they get a hold of you?
They're more than welcome to give me a call at the Arbors. Our phone number is 413-562-0001. Again, you can also come in for a walk-in tour. We have a lot of people that just walk in for information, and there's typically someone available that can give them information, a tour, or point them in the right direction.
And
So.
if there's not a staff member to do that, you'll have 12 people sitting in the lobby that'll be more than happy to give information
will.
and a
They
tour.
can give
and
tours better than I can, probably.
it's hysterical. I love to go over there because usually if I have to drop something off or pick something up, I'll walk in the lobby and I'll know 3 people right off the
Exactly,
bat because
yeah.
they're people who either used to come to this, to the senior center, play cards, come to my support group. I mean, one person dropped off the face of the earth. She used to be in a support group that I run, and in a roundabout way, she's at the Arbors. I was like, oh my God. That was a perfect situation for her. Because for years, I can't tell you how many years, she would be in the support group talking about how she can't manage the apartment anymore. She just said she's got all this stuff.
It's funny because when I tour people that are from Westfield and we walk around the building, they are listening to me, but they're looking at the nameplates.
On the
they're
door.
looking at the pictures on the door, and they're like, I know this person. I know this person. I know that person.
Hey, that's where she ended up.
Exactly.
Hey, that's where he lives now.
Do you mind if I knock on their door and say hi? I get that a lot too.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Sandra Jones and Bianca Syriac from the Arbors, we are so happy that you came back. And
Thank you.
Bianca's now a pro at this. Sandra's
She is.
been doing the
She don't
radio
need me
show
anymore.
for years,
Yes,
but it's always a lot of fun when we're bouncing things off. And as I said, in all seriousness, we'll get Mary in here the next time and have all 3 of you and give you more
Definitely.
time. So thank you
Great.
so much. It is 7:03. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses. We'll be back.
What you want, baby, I got it. What you need, you know I got it. All I'm asking is for a little respect when you come home. Just a little bit, hey, baby, just a little bit. Just a little bit, mister, just a little bit. I ain't gonna do you wrong while you're gone. I ain't gonna do you wrong 'cause I don't wanna. All I'm asking is for a little respect when you come home. Just a little bit, baby, just a little bit. Just a little bit, just a little bit. I'm out to give it all my money, and all I'm asking in return, honey, is to give me my promise when you get home. Just a little bit, just a little bit. Ooh, your kisses, sweeter than honey. And guess what? So is my money. All I want you to do for me is give it to me when you get home. Yeah, baby, whip it to me. Just get home now, just a little bit. R-E-S-P-E-C-T, find out what it means to me. R-E-S-P-E-C-T, T-F-T-C-T. Suck it to me, suck it to me, suck it to me, little respect. Suck it to me, suck it to me, suck it to me. Woo, yeah, little bit, little respect, just a little bit. I'll get tired, little bit, keep on trying, just a little bit. You're running out of food, little bit, I ain't lying, just a little bit.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Bay State Dental. Comprehensive dentistry at 14 convenient locations in Springfield, Chicopee, Longmeadow, West Springfield, Belchertown, East Longmeadow, Ludlow, Northampton, Greenfield, and Wilbraham, as well as 29 Broad Street in Westfield. Bay State Dental makes it a priority to help you achieve and maintain the healthy smile you deserve. On the web at baystatedental.com.
We thank the generosity of our underwriters. For more information, please contact the Westfield State Foundation at 413-572-8646. Friday mornings is something different on 89.5 FM. It's JP's Talk About Town.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
Live from the campus of Westfield State University. This is 89.5 FM, WSKB, Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 7:06. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host, and it's quieted down a little bit in the studio for a few minutes before the next guests come on. But I'm here with Pete Coles, chairman of the board, producer Pete. Good morning again, Pete.
I just pulled up something, by the way.
Yes, what'd you pull up?
It's 229 days, 16 hours, 53 minutes, and 57 seconds until Christmas.
Okay, get your shopping done. Hey, Bonton is going out of business. You know, you could probably get some good deals there.
40% off.
All right, let's talk about famous birthdays. May 9th, it is the birthday of actress Candice Bergen. She was born in 1946 in Beverly Hills, California. She is 72 years old. Candice Bergen started out as a model before turning to acting. She received an Oscar nomination for her role in the 1979 film Starting Over. Bergen is best known for her title role in the sitcom Murphy Brown, winning 5 Emmys during the show's original 10-year run. She also co-starred with William Shatner on ABC's Boston Legal starting in 2005. So happy 72nd birthday to actress Candice Bergen. It is also the birthday of the late Mike Wallace, news anchor, journalist, radio personality. Did you know, Pete, Mike Wallace was born May 9th, 1918 in Brookline, Massachusetts? Did you know that? I did not know that.
For some reason, I thought he was a Massachusetts guy.
Yeah, he was born in Brookline, and he actually died at the age of 93 back in 2012 in Connecticut. He was in a care facility down in Connecticut.
Yep.
Beginning in college at the University of Michigan, Mike Wallace worked as an announcer and a newscaster on radio. See, it all started on radio.
Yeah, sure. Well, that was the job opportunities at the time.
Later, he served as a naval communications officer during World War II. In the 1950s, he began to work on television, and in 1963, he joined CBS as a reporter. In 1968, Wallace became co-editor of the new news program 60 Minutes and was known for his aggressive interview style.
Yeah.
No matter what controversies he stirred up or roadblocks he faced, Wallace tirelessly strove to the bottom of each story for nearly 40 years. I love this.
He's what we're missing nowadays, called a real newsman.
Yes. And listen to this quote. I love this quote, Pete. It says, as fellow 60 Minutes correspondent Morley Safer once explained, Wallace, quote, took to heart the old reporter's pledge to comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable. Yep. I love that quote. For his impressive work, Wallace won numerous accolades, including 21 Emmy Awards.
Oh, yeah.
So happy birthday to the late Mike Wallace. And yeah, you're right, Pete. Those were the days. It is also the birthday of singer Billy Joel. He was born May 9th, 1949 in the Bronx, New York. He's 69 years old today. Although his father was an accomplished classical pianist, it was actually Billy Joel's mother who pushed the young boy to study piano. He began playing at the age of 4 and showed an immediate aptitude for the instrument. By the time he was 16, Billy Joel was already a pro, having joined his third band before he could drive. Billy Joel's first big album hit was in 1973 with Piano Man, featuring hits like Piano Man and Captain Jack. He went on to make successful albums like Street Life Serenade, The Stranger, and 52nd Street. In the 1980s, Joel married supermodel Christy Brinkley and topped the musical charts with Uptown Girl and We Didn't Start the Fire.
Which wasn't written about her. Uptown Girl wasn't written about Christy Brinkley, you know.
Who was it written
It's
about?
written about another model that he was dating before Christy Brinkley.
Pete with our trivia expert over here.
Michael Buster McMahon told me that one, and I already knew that one. It was
Oh, there
funny,
you go.
yeah.
All right. By 1999, Billy Joel's worldwide song sales had topped $100 million, and he was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Several years later, in 2013, he received the Kennedy Center honors. So happy 69th birthday,
Before you start
Billy Joel.
the last one, I got this one. Just listen to this.
Okay.
Things are natural, you know it. That's the same philosophy I apply to my chickens. I've raised a unique breed with more breast meat than ever before. The only way I know how, naturally. Purdue chickens grow up healthy, eating a diet of wholesome natural foods like golden corn and marigold petals. I'd never add anything unnatural to enhance a Purdue. Why tamper with perfection?
There you go. Thank you, Pete. I can always rely on Pete to come up with these great sound bites.
I saw that. I was like, there's got to be commercials all over the place.
That is
He did all
great.
his own promotion.
Well, exactly, and we're going to talk about that. So it is the birthday of the late Frank Perdue, business leader. He was born May 9th, 1920 in Salisbury, Maryland. He died in 2005 at the age of 84. Frank Perdue grew up on a chicken farm and left college to help his father's business. He became president of Perdue Farms in 1952. Through a national ad campaign, Perdue transformed his family's business into one of the largest poultry processors. In 1971, Frank Perdue revolutionized chicken merchandising by labeling what had previously been an anonymous product and by starring in an extensive national advertising campaign.
Yep. He
Who
started
the
the
heck
Perdue
else
brand.
did that? Right. I mean, because
Chicken was chicken.
Exactly. It wasn't like Kentucky Fried Chicken where it was a restaurant type thing you were doing. It was just. It was
When you
just.
bought chicken in the store, it was chicken.
It was the meat section. It
Yeah.
was the poultry section. He retired in 1988 and died on March 31st, 2005. Yeah, he was. That was pretty amazing. And thank you
He
for
did
that
commercials
soundbite.
into the 90s.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because he was doing commercials with his kids.
Yes.
You know, with his sons who took over the business.
Yep.
So anyway, very cool. So happy birthday to all those folks. We have some great songs for birthdays and our second guest. So let's do a little bit about what's going on around Westfield. So I mentioned before, we have Run Westfield coming up next Saturday. It's a week from Saturday, May 19th.
Yeah, while you're running the race, because the race starts at what, 11?
The race starts at 1, I
1.
believe. I believe it's 1 o'clock.
We'll stop by the Westfield Technical Academy on your way up. You
Okay.
can probably ditch your car and maybe get a ride up. But they're having a car show from 10 to 2 in the
Oh,
upper
that's
campus
right.
lot. I'll be DJing that, so that's
Okay.
why I know about it.
Okay. And so what time is the car show?
10 to 2.
Oh, okay. There
so
you
I'll
go.
be doing that's a fundraiser for their motorsports club.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure the race starts at 1 o'clock. It doesn't say on the postcard here, but if my memory serves
Usually,
me
I
correctly,
believe you're right,
because
yeah.
then they do the after race party. So when you're done at the car show, come down to the after race stuff because
Yeah.
we'll be down on Elm Street.
Yep.
It's a fun time. You can sign up online. Just Google Run Westfield. Lots of teams to join. So I am running for the 350th team. I was recruited by Joyce Peregrine for the Westfield 350th anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
But those who are running and walking for the mayor's team, all that money is also going to the 350th. So we
There
have
you
2
go.
teams supporting the Westfield 350th this year. It's just a lot of fun. And we start at Westfield State College in the commuter parking lot, the south lot, the far lot. And there's just an incline to run up when you first start, and then the rest
By
of
the
it.
time you
it's-
hit Woodward, it's almost downhill.
you're done. It's pretty much all like sort of down an incline down, and it's called the Flat Fast 5K because it is such a fast course. I mean, people run this in record time.
Yep.
So I was talking to Joe Mitchell yesterday, my good running buddy Joe, who we can't run together because he's way faster than I am. But he had already been on the treadmill yesterday morning, so we're working hard. I'm in a new category this year, Pete. So I'm all excited about that because recall that I turned 60 last year, like 3 weeks
Yes.
after the race.
Right.
So when they categorize you, it's by age group. And so it was like 50 to 59. Well, this year it's 60 to 69. So now I'm in with the 60s. So I'm really hoping to do well. So, and I've been not just hoping, I'm working at it. So that's a week from Saturday. And if you're not running or walking, come down to Elm Street. Right near the Renova building is where the finish line is, and cheer us on. Or better yet, I need a cheering section kind of over by... actually kind of over by the arbors. I should have brought that up while Bianca and Sandra were here. I need some people out by the arbors. Usually Agma Sweeney is over there, former city councilor, kind of, because that's by that time you need to get around the corner before you can see the finish line. So, all right, other things going on around the city. The YMCA is having a tag sale on Saturday, May 12th. That's this Saturday from 10 to 4. So come on out and support the YMCA and the folks that are tag sailing over there. Upcoming family events at the Westfield Athenaeum this Friday, May 11th at 10 o'clock. They have a program called Music Together. Children and their grown-ups will enjoy singing, rhyming, dancing, and playing in a relaxed, fun class led by Carrie Klee from Greater Springfield Music Together. This class helps little ones from birth to 8 years old develop their innate musicality and language skills, and it's sponsored by the Westfield Cultural Council and the Friends of the Athenaeum. So you do have to register for that because space is limited, so give a call to the Athenaeum at 562-6158. And then this Saturday, which I love this one, we talked about it last week on the show, at 10 o'clock, the Athenaeum is having a program called Laundry Day. So kids will have loads of fun as they learn how people washed their clothes long ago. Dennis Picard, a local historian, will show kids how to use washboards, wringers, and old-fashioned equipment, then hang their clothes to dry.
Dan was talking about this, and Kenny asked if he could bring in his laundry, and he says, yeah, right.
Exactly. Well, you can bring in your own piece of clothing, so one piece of clothing to wash, and the program is for children ages 5 to 13, and again, you do need to register for that, 562-6158. So that's really great. If you missed the shredding event at the Senior Center a couple of weeks ago, there is another one going on this Friday, May 11th, from 11 to 2 this is over in West Springfield at the Century Center Shopping Plaza, which is to the right of Bob's Discount Furniture, right there on Memorial Avenue, down the street from the Big E. The Massachusetts Bar Association, or the Hampden County Bar Association, is sponsoring this. It's free and open to the public. There's a limit of 4 boxes, but that's a lot of boxes of shredded items. And they're just asking for a donation of a non-perishable food item for the local food pantry. So that's all you have to do. So that's this Friday from 11 to 2 over at Century Center Shopping Plaza right near Bob's Furniture. Do you know, Pete, if there's any room left in the alumni, the Westfield Technical Academy alumni?
I have
know
not
they're
heard. I know they were
capping
about 3/4, I think, last time.
Okay, so again, this Friday, May 11th, from 9:30 to 12:30. If you are an alumni of Westfield Technical Academy, if you're an alumni, it wasn't called Westfield Technical Academy. It was either called
four
Volk,
different
or it was called
names,
the Trade School. I mean, it was called all kinds of things. But anyway, if you're an alumni, from 9:30 to 12:30, they are having guided shop tours with student demonstrations, and then they'll end with lunch at Tiger's Pride. Lunch is $8. It's the buffet, right, Pete? It's that wonderful buffet lunch. It will be capped to 20 alumni, so Pete and I are not sure if there's still room, but you can call Rob Alari over at Westfield Technical Academy at 572-6533 to sign up for that. That's this Friday. Saturday the 19th, Remembering the War to End All Wars. That's commemorating the centennial of World War I. That will be 6:30 at Holy Trinity Social Center, which is located at 335 Elm Street. So there will be a reading of letters from the trenches, including one of the Christmas truce when German and English soldiers laid down their guns to celebrate the holiday together. The audience will be invited to participate in sing-alongs. This is a free, family-friendly program. It's open to the public and sponsored by a grant from the Westfield Cultural Council. So thank you to the Westfield Cultural Council, who's really sponsoring all kinds of really great things. The Small Planet Dancers are also a part of this program, and you would recognize that name if you were listening earlier in the show, because the Small Planet Dancers are also doing the entertainment for the Senior Center Mother's Day event. So all that. And this is already next Wednesday. Next Wednesday, May 16th, I am the guest speaker at the Governor's Center. They have their monthly breakfast over there. You do need to RSVP by Monday, May 14th. So after my show next week, I'll be zipping over to the Governor's Center for a wonderful breakfast. I understand this is a delicious breakfast. Jack Curdy, the son of one of our seniors, took his mom over there last month, and he said the breakfast is phenomenal. It's like a big breakfast, but you do have to sign up for this. So give them a call. You can call Roxanne at 241-1076. The flyer for this Be Our Guest for Breakfast at the Governor's Center next week is up on the bulletin board in the vestibule of the Senior Center, as well as we have it as a tabletop flyer. So if you need information on that, you've got it. It is 6:21. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM. Radio for the Westfield masses. We're going to listen to
Commercial is one of the premier beverage distributors of Western Massachusetts. The Plasek family and the staff of Commercial Distributing wishes you good times throughout the year and urges you to drink responsibly.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Comcast and Xfinity.com, offering Xfinity TV, Internet, home phone, and home security services. Information on all that Xfinity has to offer in the Westfield area is available online at Xfinity.com.
We thank the generosity of our underwriters. For more information, please contact the Westfield State Foundation at 413-572-8646. Friday mornings is something different on 89.5 FM. It's JP's Talk About Town.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB. Live from the campus of Westfield State University, this is 89.5 FM, WSKB, Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 7:26. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM, radio for the Westfield masses. It is Wednesday, May 9th. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host. I'm in studio this morning with the chairman of the board, producer Pete Coles. Good morning again, Pete.
Good morning.
Looking very dapper in his blue shirt. And we've now been joined by our monthly guest, Joe Rouse, Director of Public Health here in Westfield. Good morning, Joe.
Good morning.
Also in a blue shirt. Blue is the color of the day, I guess. All right, so May 6th through May 12th is National Nurses Week. So National Nurses Week honors nurses everywhere during the week of May 6th, and it ends on May 12th, which is the day of Florence Nightingale's birth. So for the past 16 years, the Gallup poll has named nurses as the most trusted profession in its ratings of honesty and ethical standards in professions. The poll showed 82% of Americans describe nurses' ethics as high or very high. Promoted by the American Nurses Association, National Nurses Week encourages organizations across the country to celebrate the dedication and outstanding contributions nurses make to healthcare every day. So we are going to do that. Joe Rouse, Director of Public Health for the Westfield Health Department, is on our show the second Wednesday of every month, the second hour of the show. And Joe and I were talking yesterday, Joe, about the fact that we've talked about, or we've had other guests on with you, other folks in your department who do inspections, and we've talked about grease catching and, all kinds of stuff. But, I think probably one of the more obvious things that when people think of the public health department is nursing, and we really haven't talked about that at all. What public health nurses do, what kind of training they have, how many do we have in the city? So we're going to talk about that today.
Yeah,
so,
it's a good time.
Okay.
It's a great topic. It's really, as far as the impact to the public, probably the number one thing that we do in the health department for the benefit of public health.
Okay.
And it's not often discussed only because it's a little bit scary.
Okay.
Some of the things that they do. So we don't openly talk about, communicable diseases and what's happening and what we get reported about. And also, there's some confidentiality issues with stuff too. So I'm excited to talk about it only because I feel like it really is the number one biggest issue of importance in the public health department. So it's kind of a misnomer to say it's our nursing division. It's really the public health division of the health department. So, so I would try to get one or both of the nurses to come with me. We have two of them.
Yeah.
And they respectfully declined this time. But
okay,
we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and we didn't give a whole lot of notice. So it was one of those things where I was working on the show last week, and just in preparation, and I said, "Hey, next week is National Nurses Week. Hey, let's see if we can get any of the nurses on." And it wasn't a lot of notice, so we will get them. I'd like to have actually both of them on. That would really be great.
Yeah. So I'll talk about the basics of what they do, because a lot of it is people know that there are health nurses in the health department, but it's a thing not commonly discussed, like I said.
So it's kind of like, well, but what do they do?
Yeah,
what are they allowed to do? What are they supposed to do? And now, but are they both full time? Do we have two full time or
two
full time nurses for the?
Yep.
Okay, so what do they do? What are their responsibilities?
Well, one of the biggest things as far as the public health impact of the nursing division is the communicable disease surveillance. So, that's kind of the historic premise of public health that goes back to the founding of the country. And, you're trying to prevent people with diseases coming around to give people without them diseases.
Okay, so let's
back
talk
then,
about
plagues were a big thing.
Yeah. Well, the very first one was the in the Boston Harbor. They kept a ship in the harbor that had people on it with smallpox, so that they wouldn't come ashore. And so that was like really the very first public health kind of isolation and quarantine thing.
Wow, that's really interesting. But yeah, I mean, you could see where it's like, hey, the last thing we want to do is let these people on land and spread this all over the place.
So in a little bit less extreme situation, that's what the nurses do. So there's a whole list of conditions that are considered reportable to the health department that usually come from somebody goes to the doctor, they have some symptoms of something, clinically then diagnosed with, we'll use an example of one of them, which is mumps.
Okay.
So somebody gets diagnosed with mumps, that is mandated by the state that gets reported. The doctor reports to the state reports to the local health department, wherever that resident lives in that community, and then there's a whole series of follow-up stuff that the nurses have to do to, of course, limit exposure to that from that person to others.
Okay.
And on and on and on. So it's really kind of common sense when you think about it, but it's something that we do a lot of, and that's what we don't discuss.
And the public takes for granted.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's really the responsibility of the physician's office to contact the state?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And now, what about if a child? I'm just playing this out. So, what about if a child is sick in school, goes to the school nurse? Does the nurse have to report anything, or how does that work?
They wouldn't make
usually.
a diagnosis, though.
Yeah,
I know.
I mean,
I'm thinking, like, what if the parents don't take the child to a physician? You know what I mean?
Right. Then it's hard because
that's tough.
you really
Okay.
you have the clinical diagnosis, which is the non-laboratory result situation, which very likely a nurse or any
probably
doctor is
could
gonna, be able to tell. Ooh, this looks like it could be a mumps situation, or if it was any sort of gastrointestinal distress, it could be a food poisoning issue.
Now, what about like chicken pox? Is that see? And you know what? I'm thinking like chicken pox. I never took my daughter to the doctor when she had chicken pox. I mean, the neighbor had it. She played with the neighbor's daughter. She got it. And it's like, okay, so we took care of her, but so that's why I was thinking if somebody went to a school nurse, but they wouldn't report. It has to be the doc.
Right. I mean, we do a lot of that's another thing that the nurses do, a lot of consultations with the school nurses.
Okay.
So the school nurses are great, very competent, and of course they have full plates like crazy because they're understaffed as well.
Yep.
And just the volume of kids, especially at the high school, they're very overrun there, but they will use our supervising public health nurse, Deb Mulvena, as kind of a consultant.
Sounding board?
Sounding board is what I was thinking about, more consultation.
Yeah, because, things are moving so quick in the schools and it's so kind of chaotic at times that you kind of just need to talk to somebody to steer you in the right direction and, get your head straight. So that our nurses do consult a lot with the schools. So, but again, with the communicable disease reporting, that's not really through the school.
Right, that's through the doctor.
But when there is an issue, say there is a child that's been diagnosed with mumps, then...
And goes to certain XYZ school.
Yep.
Yeah.
Then it's very, very critical that the nurses have that communication with the schools.
So that was my next question, Joe. So let's say child goes to the doctor, is diagnosed with a communicable disease that gets reported. Now Deb knows that, and Cassandra knows that, and then what do they do with what's their next step to do with that information?
It's kind of a screening type situation. So you would contact the patient and find out what they do, who they live with, what's the risk of exposure to the general public as well as family and other people that they're close with. And but that's really what it is. It's more of a screening, like what's your risk of giving this to a large volume of people or not. I mean, churches, that's another thing we run into all the time. So, but that's the next step in the process. And then it's a a consultation between our nurses and the state health department to decide what to do with that person.
Okay.
So in certain cases, like if we have one that would be TB,
yeah,
that would be one where, you know, there's screening and there's testing, but if they're an active TB patient, they need to be medicated. And, you know, could be that we actually have to visually watch them take their TB medication.
Okay.
That's called direct observed therapy.
Okay.
So our nurses physically have to go out to somebody's house who has active TB and watch them take their medication to make sure they're doing it.
Okay. Wow.
So that's one of them.
Okay. All right. On that note, I have to digest.
Yeah.
Okay. It is 7:36. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM. Radio for the Westfield masses, and in honor of National Nurses Week, we're going to listen to the phrase saying how to save a life.
Step one, you say we need to talk. He walks, you say sit down, it's just talk. He smiles politely back at you. You stare politely right on through some sort of window to your right. As he goes left and you stay right between the lines of fear and blame. You begin to wonder why you came. Where did I go wrong? I lost a friend somewhere alone in the bitterness, and I put out straight up you all night. And I know how to save a life. Let him know that you know best, 'cause after all you do know best. Try to slip past his defense without granting innocence. Lay down a list of what is wrong, things you told him all along. Pray to God he hears you, and pray to God he hears you. And where did I go wrong? I lost a friend somewhere alone in the bitterness, and I put out straight up you all night. And I know how to save a life. As he begins to raise his voice, you lower yours and grant him one last choice. Drive until you lose the road, a break with the ones you follow. He will do one of two things. He will admit to everything, or he'll say he's just not the same, and you'll begin to wonder why you came. Where did I go wrong? I lost a friend somewhere along in the bitterness, and I put out straight up you all night. And I
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Westfield Bank. For more than 160 years, Westfield Bank has been an important community presence and commercial leader in the Pioneer Valley. With convenient full banking services in Westfield, West Springfield, East Longmeadow, Agawam, Feeding Hills, Springfield, Southwick, as well as Enfield and Granby, Connecticut, visit us on the web at westfieldbank.org. We thank the generosity of our underwriters. For more information, please contact the Westfield State Foundation at 413-572-8646.
Thursday morning from 6 till 8, it's Patrick Berry, owner of the Westfield News Group,
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
Live from the campus of Westfield State University, this is 89.5 FM, WSKB, Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 7:41. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses. It is Wednesday, May 9th. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host, and I'm in studio this morning with the chairman of the board, producer Pete Coles. Good morning again, Pete.
Good morning.
And my second hour guest is Joe Rouse, Director of Public Health for the City of Westfield. Good morning again, Joe.
Hi.
So it is National Nurses Week, and we're talking about what public health nurses do. We have two public health nurses here in Westfield, Deb Mulvena and Cassandra Strom. Is that her last name?
Laverty.
Laverty. Oh, she
recently married.
Oh, she got married. Oh, I have to change that in my Rolodex.
How quaint, Rolodex.
Exactly. So Joe, we were talking about some of what they have to do. So we talked a little bit about communicable diseases, how that has to get reported to the nurses, and then they have to kind of come up with some kind of a plan for how they're going to handle it, depending on what the disease is and,
and
family interaction and
state guidelines.
Yeah.
But they follow up on all of those. So.
Okay.
And I guess I'll reiterate, that's not something that is scarce in our department. It's something that happens all the time. So,
right.
When you see one of our nurses and think, oh, well, she's just doing flu clinics all the time.
Yes.
And no, it's there's a lot to it behind. They're busy all the time.
How long is the list of communicable diseases that would have to get reported to your department? Holy
How much time
smokes.
you got?
Oh, my God.
How
Look
much
at
time
this
you got?
list. I mean, there have to be 50 things on this list.
Yeah. Every once in a while, they'll take something off of there that they don't consider reportable anymore. I believe Lyme disease was one of them.
Because it's prevalent now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there are literally about 50 things listed on here.
Yep.
Pertussis, mumps, Rye syndrome, rheumatic fever. Wow, typhus, malaria,
Why
measles.
pertussis? Wait a minute. Why pertussis?
The whooping cough.
It's whooping cough.
Oh, okay.
That's the whooping cough.
Cholera.
So when it goes
Anthrax,
from just that long, you got the flu.
meningitis.
Yeah, I mean, you'll actually get laboratory diagnosis of that. And we did have, we had a little cluster of that, I want to say last year. We were embroiled with the whooping cough in the schools.
Yes, I remember that. I remember Deb talking about that. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, very contagious. So.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. I'm looking at this list thinking, my poor mom, when we were growing up, my brother had rheumatic fever. I had meningitis. I mean, we all had, mumps and all that other good stuff. But all right, so gets reported. So let's talk about let's talk a little bit about the Westfield, like you were saying that this is more common than people probably realize. We were talking a little bit off air, but we also have people coming in from other countries to settle in Westfield. Do they sometimes bring something that maybe isn't sort of native to this area?
Sure.
I mean, I would kind of think that would be normal.
Yeah,
I mean, that happened in the old days, right?
Yeah, and not to cause any alarm to people.
Yeah.
Yes, people are coming from third world countries where they don't have the modern
access
medicine.
to healthcare is almost zero.
Is zero.
Right.
Yeah. So they do get screened. We have a pretty healthy refugee population, not just Westfield, but West Springfield,
Sure,
Springfield,
the whole
Holyoke.
lower Pioneer Valley.
Yep, and I know that people might be afraid that they're bringing stuff over here and they're going to spread it around to the indigenous population, and that's what we're here for, to make sure that doesn't happen.
Okay.
So a lot of what we do, the nurses do, not only is the communicable disease component, which is related in a certain way to the refugee health. So that's Cassie, our staff nurse. She pretty much is exclusively refugee health issues. So yes, people come over from other countries, they get refugee status. They do have to go through some screening for.
That's what I was going to ask you. I would
conditions.
think that they would have right that, and I think there's your key right there. So they're being screened as soon as they come over, just to see what's going on.
They're being vetted federally. They're being screened state and federal for communicable diseases and things that they need to be treated for. So, and they don't entirely just get dumped on the municipality's lap. But there is a communication with the resettlement agencies, who are kind of the middleman to settle the refugees and find housing for them and everything. But then it's just like the communicable disease thing with the refugees. We do a follow-up on them, and it's not always concerning their health or lack thereof. Sometimes it's just, what are your living conditions
more educational?
like? Yeah, a lot of it's educational.
Like, this is what's available to you.
Yeah, right. The resettlement agencies are good, and right now our refugee numbers are really low. They have been for the past year and a half. But sometimes somebody from the city needs to go and see what the conditions are like that they're in. And we do get complaints because, again, these are people that are not acclimated to our society.
Exactly.
And so maybe they're doing things outside in their yard or something that's not...
Washing clothes or something, or
killing
whatever.
Chickens or whatever. That's what they do.
Right, exactly.
So we do go and, we check. For a while, whenever we would have a new family come in, and this has kind of died down, I always used to say to people, but this was one of the safest places if you're worried about that refugee component, because every time we would get a new family that would come here to settle, not only would the nurses go out, but either myself or one of the inspectors would go too, just to kind of, let's see what your apartment looks like. Let's make
look
sure
at your living situation.
Yeah, we don't, with the last thing, so we always knew who they were, where they were from, and where they were living. So, it was kind of just, you go in, you do a little visual thing. There was a hysteria a couple years back when we were getting certain refugee populations from Iraq.
Okay.
And so people started to find that out and, caused a little bit of a stir. But these are all, these people get refugee status for a reason.
Yes.
And an immigrant is different than a refugee. Refugees are religious persecution in their own country. Usually the bottom of the barrel type mistreated sort of population. So believe me, when they come here, they are very appreciative, and our nurses get intimately involved with them.
Yeah. Wow. So, so when you go out to the home and do, sort of inspections and just kind of see, I imagine that there is a lot of education that has to be done. And I'm wondering how much of a barrier is language for some of those folks?
It's a big one.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody
would
comes
think that would
over
be a
here
problem.
speaking English, but we do have interpreters through the state.
Okay.
They will meet the nurses at the site and interpret, do their thing. So that's great. And they are, we're pretty good at being able to get somebody whenever we need to. So that's also one of the responsibilities of the resettlement agency is to kind of, not only find these people a place to live, but kind of coach them or brief them on what a thermostat is, what a faucet is, how the heating system works. These are...
I'm even thinking that if someone came over and they did, let's say, have a communicable disease and they needed medical treatment, I mean, just that whole piece of it is you have to have somebody interpreting for them, because I would think that would be very scary for someone who's not used to Western medicine, to be in a strange land. And now you've been told, well, you have this, whatever you have, and you need to get treatment for it. And I imagine that some of the things, Joe, in this day and age that they may be coming over with are very treatable. It's just a matter of they didn't have those options in their own country.
Right. That's why they're allowed in, because you're not going to get turned around at the gate just because you have some communicable disease, but you have to subscribe to treatment. So we can easily treat that in this country rather than turning them around and sending them back somewhere where they're going to infect another 100 people somewhere else. But and there is a medical facility in Springfield that most of the refugee population goes to, and they have their own people there, interpreters and stuff. So transportation is always an issue, but the resettlement agencies, again, they're trying to work on that. But So it doesn't, again, land firmly on our lives. It's not like somebody moves into Westfield and they go, okay, here's their file now. You treat them and make them well. Yeah. There's other players involved.
Right.
In
you have other local organizations that you're working with to, to kind of support, to make this a team effort, a community effort.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. It is 7:50. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield Masses. So we haven't mentioned that this Sunday is Mother's Day, but we have mentioned that it's Billy Joel's birthday. So I thought I would throw in from our last song, a Billy Joel song, and we actually used this as the theme for our last year's Mother's Day luncheon when we had Noah List come and he played this. It's I Love You Just the Way You Are, and this is in honor of our moms and in honor of Billy Joel's birthday.
Don't go changing to try and please me. You never let me down before. Don't imagine you're too familiar, and I don't see you anymore. I would not leave you in times of trouble. We never could have come this far. I took the good times, I'll take the bad times. I take you just the way you are. Don't go trying some new fashion. Don't change the color of your hair. You always have my unspoken passion. Although I might not seem to care, I don't want clever conversation. Never want to work that hard. I just want someone that I can talk to. I want you just the way you are. Need to know that you will always be the same old someone that I knew. Oh, what will it take till you believe in me the way that I believe in you? I said I love you, that's forever. This I promise from the heart. I couldn't love you any better. I love you just the way you are. Just want someone that I can talk to. I want you just the way you are.
programming of WSKB is provided by the Barnes and Noble College Bookstore in the Ely Campus Center, offering Westfield State t-shirts, sweatshirts, and gift merchandise, all of your academic needs, and offering textbook materials in new, used, ebook, and rental formats. Available at the bookstore on campus or online at westfieldstate.bncollege.com. Support for community radio on WSKB is provided by Betts Plumbing and Heating Supply Company, an independent, family-owned wholesaler serving Westfield for over 50 years, specializing in plumbing, heating, and industrial piping supplies. On the web at bettsplumbing.com or at 14 Coleman Avenue in Westfield.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Wally Computer Associates, one of the largest technology providers in North America. Headquartered in Southwick, Wally provides all of the products and services that you'd expect from a world-class technology partner to schools, colleges, businesses, as well as state and local governments and agencies. Wally Computer Associates, meeting all of your technology needs. On the web at WCA.com. We thank the generosity of our underwriters. For more information, please contact the Westfield State Foundation at 413-572-8646.
He rules the roost on Thursday from 6 till 10. It's Patrick Berry.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB. Live from the campus of Westfield State University, this is 89.5 FM, WSKB, Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 7:57. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM, radio for the Westfield masses. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host. I'm in studio this morning with the chairman of the board, producer Pete Coles. Good morning again, Pete.
Good morning.
We are joined by Joe Rouse, Director of Public Health for the City of Westfield Health Department, and we are talking about it's National Nurses Week, so we're talking about public health nursing, and we've talked a little bit about what some of their tasks are. And Joe, you had kind of just thrown out in passing earlier that they do flu clinics. Well, we certainly know they're welcome at the senior center. Talk to us a little bit about the flu clinics.
Okay. The flu clinic for us is a really good, well, first of all, great opportunity to get our vaccine out there for people.
Yep.
We love those events. It's an absolute must for us to have those flu clinics because not only are we getting, I don't even know how many people, what, hundreds?
A couple hundred. Yeah,
okay.
At least a couple hundred.
So we're getting that vaccine out there. Very, very important. But also with us, what it does is kind of a little example of if we had to do a bigger prophylaxis or a bigger medication distribution sort of thing.
I remember doing game planning for you with that for emergency management when we were talking about the swine flu.
Right, exactly.
Or avian flu too.
Yeah, that was a big one. That 2009 in the swine flu, that was a mess. But
I remember doing a tabletop for that.
Yeah, and thank God we did all that because you never know. I mean, these communicable disease things are really kept in check very well. But what's going to happen, if we have a citywide pandemic sort of situation? So I know that's a lot of Chicken Little, the sky is falling, fanatical stuff. But it's a very small percentage of a possibility, but it's a possibility. So when we do those flu clinics, we love it. We know what kind of equipment we need for even a bigger scale event if we ever have one.
Yep.
And so, and also to know, figure out the flow of people and everything and designate tasks for the certain individuals that are at the event. So those are fantastic. And I feel like, it's appreciated by the residents for us to be out there.
Absolutely,
And anybody who's been to any of our flu clinics at your facility especially, they'll know and recognize our nurses and probably speak very highly of them. They're great to have. And we also usually join up with the Medical Reserve Corps for those events, which is another big deal for us because that is an organization that has lots of volunteer people.
Yep.
And when we need to open up a shelter, for example, if there's a citywide emergency or even an isolated emergency, we almost had to do it with the Powder Mill fire. But the Red Cross was able to come in and find places for these people to go. And the fire department did an awesome job in containing that to the destruction that was rather small.
Single building,
The one
yeah.
building.
One single building.
Yeah, the one building.
And if you saw any of the pictures of when that thing was...
It could have easily been a domino
absolutely.
yeah.
effect.
For sure.
So there were a lot of people displaced, and when that happens, and I did get a call that Sunday from Jim Wiggs, the emergency management director, who was on the scene, to say, hey, just a heads up, we may have to open up a shelter. So
Yes.
if we had to do that, then we would obviously deploy. The nurses would be out there. Usually we wind up doing more of a medical shelter like we did in the ice storm back a few years ago.
I remember.
And that was because we have nurses there. We have medical reserve corps personnel there. So, there's nurses and EMTs on that group of people too. So
I think that was actually my first introduction to the Medical Reserve Corps. I wasn't aware of what they did. And it was one of the disasters, one of the ones where we had to set up a shelter.
Yep.
And I went down because a lot of the people in the shelter were older adults. So I went to see my seniors and, I was like, oh, wait, who, what is the Medical Reserve Corps? Who are they? And so, I know that they work very closely with Jim Wiggs and with the health department, especially during disasters and emergencies and so forth.
Yep.
So, yes, and the flu clinics, we generally, just so that folks know, we generally do them in October. But Deb and I start working on that months in advance because she has to order the amount of vaccine. So we've already been talking about that and the type and, different things like that. So there's a lot of planning involved. It's not just, hey, let's throw up some curtains and run a clinic and here we are. But I think now we kind of have that down to a science with, our two staffs working together, people checking in with my staff and, being, down the hall and the Medical Reserve Corps helping with paperwork and your staff actually, distributing the vaccination and so forth. So
it's a great exercise for us and it's a good service to the community.
Absolutely.
You guys are awesome with everything you provide. I mean, we've been kicked around from facility to facility.
You have, yeah.
And so this is like a perfect spot for us to do it.
Well, we actually even did it at the old senior center. I know it used to be, there was the Boys and Girls Club for a while, and my seniors kept saying, why can't we do it here? Why can't we do it here?
South Middle, I remember.
Yeah.
South Middle, did you do it at South Middle?
Well, we had years where the vaccine was scarce, and we had years where we were vaccinating a lot more people than we are now.
Yep.
And we also had the need. Only within maybe the last 5 years we haven't done this, but we used to have the senior flu clinic.
Yep.
And then we would also have just the general public.
Right.
So we could get, 200-300 people to shut that. So that's why we needed the bigger facility.
Yep.
South Middle, or I think we did. I know we did South Middle. I don't remember if we did North
But
Middle.
I can remember when I first started at the senior center, that was 12 years ago, the seniors telling me when they did it at the Boys and Girls Club, there was like a line that wrapped around the building.
Yeah.
I said, really? Yes. So.
Yeah, that was back in the shortage times where the vaccine was scarce and we would get our state supply. And there would be, parameters around who you can use it for.
Sure.
But once you did, so you got a certain population of the seniors done, you could kind of open it up.
Yes.
But we had, just some crazy times. But even the small flu clinics like we do now, where we do it for 2 days, is a perfect kind of small scale example of what we need to be prepared for.
Exactly.
So
and you think, you always think, well, it won't happen to us. It won't happen to us. And I just feel like you can't turn on the news now without some disaster somewhere, whether it's a natural disaster, a mass shooting. I mean, there are just so many different things going on. And I think people are starting to feel like, it could happen to us. It could happen in sleepy Westfield. So we do need to be prepared. And hey, better to be prepared and never have to use those skills that we've learned. But certainly if the time came, and even for something that wasn't, super major, but even, you mentioned the ice storm and sort of that. And, there was just sort of knowing what to do, who was going to do what, all of that planning is very important.
Well, I've been with the city for 20 years, and I have to say, back when I first started, we were not prepared for anything.
Yeah.
And now, and you can probably attest to this too, Pete, the way that we've advanced, even within the last 5 years, when we've actually had events that have made us see what the deficiencies are. And we are so much better off now than we ever have been, and that's
And also-
multiple agencies.
Yeah, the
Agreed,
departments
yeah.
are now working together as an overall team.
Agreed. I think part of it I can and I think
And now a lot of that goes to Jim,
I
kind of
was
telling
just gonna
everybody
say,
you have to work together, folks.
Kudos to Jim Wiggs, because I think he was able to recognize, well, hey, you need this department and that department and this department and that department. And
He
it would
was
be
the first
helpful.
person to recognize that purchasing needs to be part
Purchase
of
needs to be
emergencies.
part of it. He was the first person to include the Council on Aging.
Yep.
When you start thinking about how many, seniors are involved in some of these things and some of the unique needs that they have. I mean, people think of children and their unique needs, and we need, parents involved and so forth. Well, you have seniors with health issues and mobility issues and hearing and vision and, so same type of thing.
Right.
So, all right, it is 8:06. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield Masses. I want to thank Joe Rouse, Director of Public Health for the City of Westfield, for coming in and helping us to celebrate National Nurses Week. So give our best to Deb Mulvena and
sure will.
Cassandra, who new last name?
Laverty.
Laverty. Used to be Strom. So sorry, Cassandra. But anyway, we appreciate what you do. My name is Tina Gorman. I don't even remember who is. I have so many
Maybe
guests
Will.
coming on.
Will Reichhelt's supposed to be here, but I guess he's not.
Right. No, I was thinking
I'm
of
playing
who I
music for
have
an
next
hour.
week. So anyway, Joe,
community